Howdy.
Okay, well, 90 safety truck.
I gotta turn this off. I forgot to turn this off. Okay. What's going on?
Not much. Just trying to stay out of trouble as best as I can.
That's always a good thing.
The next meeting that's in person, I'll bring that mouse I was talking, well, another one just like it. The one that plugs into a PCMCIA port and charges from that. It's a Bluetooth mouse that fits in a PCMCIA port with probably NiCad batteries. And then for your viewing pleasure, oh, I forgot my camera's not on. There. Oh, turn on. There we go.
There it is.
Do you remember this interface
Oh, yes.
on some select HP machines?
I had one of those select HP machines.
This may work with your laptop if you want it. It uses a 2032 coin cell, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
Oh, with the
this has media, sorry,
yeah.
media select, DVD player. I don't know what that Q thing is, but it's next,
Yeah.
forward, back, volume controls. So
It might, because that was, I mean, it's a gaming machine, but it's a multimedia machine.
and
And
it's designed to fit in that weird, not quite PCMCIA slot.
yeah. So I think I just got rid of that HP that had that in it.
No,
I didn't have the remote though. I never had the remote. But it was supposed to be a multimedia machine. It was
do
it
you
a
know?
Vio?
Do you know offhand if it had an IR receiver on it? Because this plainly says that it's IR, but it's RC space 6 and then an IR symbol.
Yeah.
So it might have been radio as well. I don't know. It's kind of a cute little thing. It's brand new. I just opened the package it was in. I don't remember where I got it.
So that was actually a protocol that Microsoft came up with.
RC6?
I don't know if that was like the multimedia control.
Oh, yeah.
That was a Microsoft thing. So it might actually work with that Dell. You're right, it might actually do that.
Yeah. So it has I thought it was Windows Media. It's not, it's just a Windows button, and I think it's the one for XP.
Yeah.
It's pretty colors, and because the next thing after XP was ugly. They seem to, Microsoft doesn't know what the hell they want to do with their logo. They make a decent one, they make an ugly one.
Microsoft doesn't know what they want to do half the time anyway. Yeah, that was I had something else that had that logo on it though, and it worked with that HP laptop because it was a standard. I don't remember what that was.
So if this shows up as a keyboard, which it easily could,
yeah,
there are definitions for specialized keys.
Yeah.
The play, pause, next track, previous track, volume up, volume down. And
Well,
so
I
when
don't,
those are on a keyboard, the keyboard can be moved from machine to machine and it should still work.
yeah,
If you look at
I don't think it was I don't think it was emulating a keyboard though.
I mean, at some level, it has to be. But yeah,
Yeah,
this, so this has volume down, mute, volume up, back, a little I that I assume is information, next track, previous track, the
yeah,
quad pad with an OK button that would have worn out pretty quick. And up and down, which isn't part of the volume. I don't know what those are for. This is also decidedly right-handed. If you hold it in your left hand, it's less comfortable.
yes. Well, that was also a time when they didn't consider ergonomics. It was just, it was what it was.
But I do have an HP part number for this.
See, I think I had like a little set-top box that was a multimedia, a Windows multimedia box, and it had that logo. The remote had that logo. And I am fairly sure that it was IR. You know, that may have worked with the Xbox.
This thing's on sale on eBay for
$10.
$5 to $10. Yeah. Huh. I wonder if there's anything that says what it came with. Because yeah, that's it. That's, well, the first link that I got. That is this exact thing.
Yep.
New and sealed. And I went and opened it. Oh. And it had, so another thing was the HP Media Center, they call it a transmitter, but it was a USB receiver.
Yeah.
I wonder if those came as a set or just worked if you had a laptop that didn't have USB. Holy crap, there's a lot of these things for sale. Okay, so they list this as part for an HP Pavilion 2151 CL.
That's what I had. You plug that into an Xbox controller.
Really?
That's the IR remote.
So that's a transmitter?
No, that's the receiver. And I had yeah, that's pretty much what my thing looked like. And it worked just fine with that HP.
Cool. How'd you plug it into the HP? That's
I did.
the
The
USB
HP
to. Oh, okay.
the HP
I
had
see.
a IR receiver on it. Let's see, you right down here, it's got that little logo
Yep.
that you can't see.
The start. No, I saw it. The start button. One of my.
This was some weird standard that they came up with way back in, and it was supposed to make everything multimedia.
One of the things that ticks me off about Microsoft more than anything is that they still call that one little sad trapezium icon the start button. If you take somebody that hasn't played with computers before and tell them to click start, you're insane. There is no start button.
There is no start button. It's not there anymore.
And yet it's like the five monkeys in the cage. It's what everybody refers to it as. I used to call it the trapezium just to be annoying. I did a lot to be annoying for a while.
I catch myself, with the Linux Mint start button. I call it the start button. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, I honestly, I think Mint calls it the start button too.
Yeah, you
It's
go
also the
down to the
stop
start
button.
button. You go down there and you do some stuff, and yeah,
But yeah, if you want this thing, you're more than welcome to it.
we can try it. We can at least try it on that desktop or on that laptop.
I'll
That's more like a
find out
desktop.
what the battery is on it and bring in another one.
But yeah. I remember I had a black one of those remotes, but that it's the same remote. Because my Xbox was black. It wasn't a white one.
My kids asked me for an Xbox at one point. I'm like, wait, that's a Microsoft product. We don't do that here. I'll get you a Wii or whatever, but
But not a that. Well, I've
oh,
I've
I
still
have
got an Xbox 360, but I've only got maybe a dozen games for it. So it probably could go away and I probably wouldn't miss it.
for your resin printer. Does
Yes.
that use the the regular STL files and you've got some slicer that talks to it, or do they have some other? Okay. If I give you an STL for some keyboard keys,
Yeah.
um, can you print up two or three? I just want to see how well they come out. And if they come out decent, I will pay you to print something. They make a heavy duty resin or tough resin or something like that. I will gladly pay you to do a set of keys, though I
Okay.
have no idea how long it would take. I don't know how quick resin printers are. I never played with
They
one.
are slow.
Really? I guess it takes
Well,
because
mine's slow. Mine's slow.
I guess I mean because they use phone screens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
don't produce hardly any UV.
Well,
Maybe they just overdrive them.
they've taken the UV light shield thing that's on it off
Mhm.
so that more UV goes through.
They
But
probably replace the backlight with a UV.
it's it's not so much. Well, it is. And it does kind of depend on how big the print is, but every layer it has to cure for like at least 9 seconds.
Okay. Yeah.
So
This is same thing, 2/10 of a millimeter per
yeah,
layer.
yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be probably about 80 layers, so 10 minutes ish.
Um, yeah, the slicer will tell you, give you a good idea, but slicers are never right about how long it actually takes something to do it.
Yeah.
Um, a small print should not take all that long, maybe an hour, but it is not fast. They're not fast. And that was one of the early mistakes that I made was I was trying to get it to go faster.
Hmm.
And then I realized,
They come out sticky.
well, not if you make them hollow, it still takes just as much time to do it. It still takes that at least 9 seconds to cure a layer. So you've got a hollow thing with resin inside of it that you can't cure,
Uh,
which is bad. Um,
Luckily, keycaps don't have, shouldn't have any hollows in them.
yeah,
Um, but I want to try to make a set.
I will attempt it.
Okay.
It should be able to print them.
Um,
Um,
I mean, how much are resin printers? Maybe I'll just buy one.
That one I got for $99.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I got it on sale, of course, because I'm cheap.
Is your build plate big enough you can do a space bar?
I
assume
should
so,
be
but-
able to do a space bar. I should be able to, yeah.
Cool.
As long as it's pretty
And
much a standard space bar.
specifically, it's for that keyboard.
Oh,
That is an Alice layout. You just got that from Marla here. Hold on a second. I'll get that. So she likes ergonomic keyboards. I don't. What the heck is all of that? Something came up with it's the menu for my keyboard. I didn't think I touched that, but I guess I did. Oh well. So this is a Keychron U13 Pro. It has a metal case. It weighs about 7 pounds.
wow.
I mean,
It's enough to knock somebody out.
oh, yes, this thing is a weapon. It's a layer programmable macro keyboard.
Hold it up a little bit more. It's hard to. Okay. It's
But
kind of
Marla is legally blind. So I want to make some good size keycaps and then fill in the letters with black paint
okay.
or whatever. But yeah, she's struggling with that. But it also is Bluetooth, which I thought was kind of cool. It's got a 5,000 milliamp hour battery in it, so it should be Bluetooth for quite a while. And I have one similar to it, though not ergonomic. I hate ergonomic keyboards. And I'll bring that to a meeting, show and tell. And it's also got a knob,
Huh.
which is fun. But
is that the equivalent of the roller on a?
so it's programmable. You can make it do whatever you want. It can be volume up, volume down. It can be scroll on a mouse. It's completely programmable. It programs through an application called VIA. And you can tell it to be a Colmac layout keyboard or QWERTY or whatever. There are other versions, and it actually has 4 layers, and you can assign a key to switch to another layer for a moment, or if you hold the key to switch to a layer and lock there, and now every key can do something else. So my keyboard I've got set up so that H, J, K, and L are mouse buttons, or not mouse buttons, but mouse movement. And U, I, and O are the 3 buttons. E and the greater than are scroll up and scroll down. So it'll do anything you want. But they're fun. I've gotten really bad into the keyboard thing.
So who makes this, Steve?
Well, this is a Keychron, the one for Marla is a Q13 Pro, and mine is a, I forgot. Mine is a Lemma-Key L3.
Now, who makes these? Are these clones of, Logitech or something like that? Or are these
Not really.
specialty company?
Keychron is a company that makes keyboards. And
Huh.
they've got keyboards from $50 to about $300. The Lemma-Key was $220, I think, or maybe just under 200, and this big Alice layout thing was $220.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah, it's a brick.
And you can use it as a weapon.
You can. So it's got standard cherry posts on the key switches, but the key switches are individually replaceable. They're socketed. You don't even have to unsolder anything. It comes with a tool.
So you just pull out the key and shove a new one in?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. I thought I had some up here, but I'm not seeing. There we go. So that's a key and a switch, and it's a standard that keys, you can't see there. It's a standard that a key switch has either 3 or 5 pins on the bottom, one or 3 of which are plastic. But yeah, it just pulls right out. And you can get keys in different weights and different feels and clicky or not clicky. The people that are into this stuff inadvertently spend a lot of money on it. I'm looking for, I have a little kit of tools. The keyboard came with Allen wrenches to disassemble it.
So where did you get this? Is this a Micro Center thing or something else?
Micro Center does actually carry a Keychron keyboard, but I ordered it. It comes from China. DHL, you got to sign for it. And it usually takes less than a week.
That's very reasonable.
Keychron.com is the website. And you get this little tool. This end is for taking off the key cap. You slide it around, turn it 45 degrees, and then just lift. And this end is for pulling the switches out. And there, that shows a little better.
So it's a 2-part key, basically. There's a switch
and a key
and
cap.
a key cap.
Right. And
Very
key caps
interesting.
come in a bunch of different feels as well. So this keyboard is one of mine.
It's upside down.
Well, I'm sorry. There we go.
There you go.
I forget what these keys are called, but this keyboard is a WASD code, and I've had this keyboard for probably 6 years, and it's a great keyboard. It really is. But these switches are all soldered in. So for me to replace the switches is an ordeal, especially if I want to do all of them. If 1 or 2 goes bad, it's no big deal. I can unsolder a standard cherry switch, and I can order the cherry brown switches that are in this thing. These are tactile. Switching out a key on this keyboard, I don't have to open it. I can pull off the keycap, I can pull the switch out, put in another switch in 3 minutes, if that. And this big keychron, I've got different weight switches in different keys, like the space bar is pretty heavy. It takes more effort to push it than the ASDF keys. But yeah, a Lemma-key L3 is what I use. Let's bring that up. Oh, cool. Thank you for that link.
That's the cheapest one they've got now. I bet I got mine on sale because they were closing it out. Because it was $99.
So this is my keyboard, and you can order it with this big knob here, or without. So why you would want one without a knob, I don't know. You can get them in different colors. I got the navy. You can get it in silver, which is aluminum. It's a clear anodized aluminum case that seemed a little too bright to me, and black seemed a little too dark. And I got the Gateron Jupiter banana switches in this thing. But I mean, it's just hilarious how configurable this thing is. And if you go through here, here's the information about it. It polls at 1,000 cycles. These things are designed for gamers. You can get different keycaps for it, but they didn't have the ones I actually wanted in stock, and I can order them. These 4 keys are macro keys. And this one button, you can program it to type in your Windows domain and name. And then when you hold down the function key, you tap it again and it types in your password and presses enter. You can have it hit like your Windows domain and log in, and then a tab or enter. It's kind of sweet, and how it's built, and it's got sound deadening foam between it and stuff. It's designed for, these are the switches that they offer with it, and this KSA is what I like, but they didn't have those switches available. This is what the VIA software looks like, and you come in here and so you can program the buttons to do anything you want.
Neat.
They're making that one put the computer to sleep. They are open source, and you can get all sorts of stuff. There are videos down here, what the switches feel like, how much force it takes to actuate, whether they're linear, tactile, or similar to a Panda switch. Pandas are very crisp in the tactility. The stabilizers they have actual little bushings in them so that they don't rattle or make noise. And it comes with those tools. Somewhere on here, there's a link to how to disassemble this thing. I don't know. But this is the VIA software. Authorize, Lemma-key.
Well,
that's my keyboard. And this is what each button does. And I've currently got, I think, 11 macros set up. And I can change the macros. Oops, let's save. In here, probably shouldn't show that. Where's that? There we go. So that's what happens when I use the M5 macro, which is assigned to M4 when it's in the next layer. Oops. M5 is this button when I'm pressing the function key. These are all the different things it does. I've got scroll up and scroll down. Hey, those are not mine. I guess they are.
You don't even remember how you programmed your keyboard, Steve.
Well, I've got a couple of them. I've got another one at work that's programmed differently. So I have two Keychron keyboards. This one, even though it's called a lemma key, it is actually a Keychron. It's made by them. And you've got a key tester so you can verify your keys work. You can change the way this looks. And it's a fun keyboard to play with. But these are all the normal letters A through Z, and the numbers are in here, and the F key is up through F12. In special, it's got F13 through 24. So I can make that part of the macro and use all of those F keys. And in Linux, you can program anything you want. Like it's got wake and calc you can tie into opening up your calculator application. And of course, it lights up.
It
Fun
won't
toy.
be a gaming keyboard if it didn't light up.
Nope. But
that is what I know about gaming. It all lights up.
$214. I didn't pay that much for this thing. I paid less, not a lot less, but less. But that's fully assembled with the switches and the keycaps. Their version of the keycaps. And it is a fun toy.
So the only resin I have right now is gray.
Oh, here, wait a second. Let me stop this share.
Yeah,
Oh, cool. Nice.
It's gray.
Okay, what orientation did that print in? Was it hanging from the nose or something?
I kind of like that. Yeah, maybe like that.
Huh.
Actually, I think the STL file for this one was probably split in two, so the two halves were on the build plate.
Okay.
But this is another one. This thing's tiny, and
Yeah.
I thought because it was going to be smaller, it was going to print faster, and it still took for freaking ever.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, because top to bottom, it was 150 layers.
Yes. Yeah, and this part from here to here is taller.
Right.
So the size of the print didn't matter. I could have actually left it full size, and
But if
it
you
would
had
have
rotated it 90 degrees on the build plate, so it only stuck up 40 layers, it would have printed twice as quick, right?
maybe. But then you would have had to put
Supports of some
a
sort.
support and like an actual build plate, a raft on it. And all that adds extra time too. So I think I played around with it and I got it to, I don't know, that one really didn't take all that long, maybe 15 minutes to print. But for the size that it printed, I was like, that is an incredibly long period of time because, you know, a regular FDM printer, that would have been a 2 or 3 minute print.
Right.
So, um, I've got some, I've got some resin left. I don't have much. I probably got enough to do, 10 or 15 keycaps, but I can get more because
Well,
it,
I just want 2 or 3, because I'm gonna want the final ones done in that tough resin,
yeah,
whatever.
you just want to see if it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I apparently got
crap.
mine. Mine was being closed out apparently for the new thing that was the new hotness, which is an 8K instead of a 4K resin printer.
I'm seeing the price of resin. It is higher than I expected.
It's not cheap. And consider this. I mean, the printer that the link to the printer is $300, but you really need some sort of vent or venting system to keep the smell out, which I really don't have. I just open the door. You really need some sort of way to actually cure it, which can be cheaper. I mean, I've found that curing table for $20 or whatever that was.
So this is UV cured?
Yeah. It's resin printing makes really, really nice crisp, but it's not cheap. It is not a cheap way to do it. I really should buy a resin washer so that I just drop it into a bucket and put my hand in there and, cause I'm using the water soluble resin.
Okay.
Which I don't know if the hardened stuff is water soluble or not. So I don't know how I would clean that.
So I'm seeing a pound of resin or half kilogram there for $18.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And what I looked up was from Anycubic, US 5 kilograms. And I would want this probably in black. It's $200. And that's the
Wow.
smallest thing. Well, 5 kilos, that's 10 pounds.
It's a lot. That's a lot of resin.
But that's the smallest package they offer.
Yeah, I think I spent probably $18 for the resin that I've got. I mean, the good news is it can be reused.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So it sits in the sun.
As long as it's not in the sun, right? But yeah, I don't have a problem printing you a few keycaps to see if it'll do whatever.
Okay.
And then we could figure out. I don't know how I would clean. I really don't know how I would clean the hardened stuff. I don't have a cleaner because I didn't want to spend the money for it.
And I don't know if this needs it or not.
Most of it, almost all of it does.
Says it's low viscosity, and here's what I'm looking at. Good grief, what a long URL.
Super URL.
Sorry about all that.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, but this stuff is $20, basically $20 a pound. 500 grams is 20, and a kilogram, 2.2 pounds is 37.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's roughly the same price as the stuff that Micro Center is selling.
And if I buy 2 or more, I save 4%.
Woohoo!
I ought to buy them all. No.
So this is liquid?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's a liquid, and you shine a UV light on it and it turns into a solid. It's a monomer liquid that polymerizes under UV.
Yeah.
And makes really, really, really nice prints. I
I
mean,
thought
they,
I thought the printers all use like a fish line kind of a shape of thing.
There's that also, but
Yeah.
no, this is
there's,
a different additive printing.
yeah, this is resin printing versus FDM printing.
Okay.
And
Okay, that emerald.
resin printing, my print bed is tiny, you know, it's not very big, and it basically uses a phone screen is sitting under the resin, and as the layers get built, the phone screen shows it lights UV up and cures it as it's building, and then you have to put it in a curer for a while even after that. Clean, use painter's brush, remove excess resin. Okay. Use 95% concentrate ethyl or IPA. Clean, some form of methyl should work.
Isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah,
70% is cheap.
that's what I was getting. It's isopropyl bubble. It's isopropyl.
Yeah,
After 4 minutes, use remove with alcohol, hair dryer. Blah blah blah. Yeah, okay. It sounds like I could clean that. So that doesn't sound like it would be all that hard to
so you just
work
dip it
with.
in IPA?
Use a brush and
It looks like you
wiggle it.
use a brush to clean it. Yeah.
Okay.
So we would just need to get a paintbrush, or
Though, honestly, I would think if you take it out and it's still slightly damp,
the paintbrush would get stuck in it.
well, no, because it isn't curing while you're doing that. But if you set it down level in a window, I would think it would end up giving you a nice smooth finish then. If it had any layer lines, they'd be gone at that point.
Resin printing really doesn't do layer lines. You really do not see the layer lines.
Okay.
What you end up doing is when it's on the top, waiting to
Do the next layer.
well, once the print's done, you wait for the vast majority of the uncured resin
Mhm.
to settle and drip back into the reservoir. And then you take it out, and with the water soluble, you throw it in a bucket of water and you shake it around for a few minutes and get the rest of it off. And then you put it in the curing machine.
Okay.
And then, you let it run in the curer for 20 minutes or whatever,
Okay.
however long you'll know once it's cured because it'll feel hard. It'll
Right. So let's see.
So it the way I'm reading this is it's more or less the same idea. You let the print hang upside down and let it all drain everything off, and then you come back with a paintbrush and brush the rest of it off and clean it up a little with the alcohol. So 243.
But this is a set of keys. And that weighs 10, maybe 12 ounces. So you'll end up with spare resin if we do this.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And they're saying the stuff has about a 2-year shelf life.
Yeah.
Does it,
Once it's open, once
if
you
you leave it
open,
underneath the bed or something where no light gets to it, will it still self-cure?
I hear, I haven't had mine that long. But I've heard that yes, even if you stick it back in the box, back in the thing, that, you know, I keep mine basically as far away from light as I can.
Mhm.
And I have heard that eventually it will just go bad.
Okay.
Apparently it doesn't happen real fast, but once it's exposed to the atmosphere, I guess it starts some weird process. Oh. Yeah, this actually looks like it might be easier to work with than what I've been doing. So
Yeah, as long as you don't mind the smell of alcohol.
yeah. I it's worth trying. I could, like I said, just send me the file. I'll print 4 or 5
Okay.
up and
Okay. So
we'll
Marla
figure
is
it out.
legally blind, and I want to do the Ubuntu font for the letter as big as I can make it on a key.
Does she know Braille?
No,
Okay.
and a Braille display.
Well, I was thinking of Braille keyboard.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that would be an odd thing. I've got a friend in Chicago who is totally blind. And he has a standard keyboard and a Braille display. And that Braille display was almost 10 grand.
Yeah.
And it's 2 lines by 80 characters.
Yeah.
He uses Linux because he can still read his email in Mutt. Actually, he uses Alpine. I'm trying to convince him to try Mutt.
I'm sure
Change is
they
not his friend.
I'm sure they make Braille keycaps.
Oh, yeah.
Who is Julie? And why?
Tried to log in last
Yeah.
week, too, I think.
After everything was done. Ah, that is who Julie is.
Yeah, we have 2 different accounts, and that's what I got logged in under.
I actually wondered if that was you because I was like, who the heck is Julie?
Yeah. I wonder that myself, who the hell am I sometimes?
What's going on? Where am I?
Yes.
You get any takers for your giant TV?
Didn't get a single inquiry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. It's gigantic, and we've got a 55-inch that I picked up out of the dumpster in the basement now, and we'd replaced like a 47 or 49-inch with it. And I counted up today, we've got 11 screens sitting around the house. I think we've got 3 32 760s. It's like, what am I ever going to do with them?
You just can't help yourself. You see them on the side of the road and you have to get them.
I'm compelled to do it. Most of, if the glass is broken, I just disassemble them and keep the Fresnel lens and the diffusers and stuff, and pitch the rest of it away. This one appears to be a nice 4K smart TV. And I haven't taken the back off of it to look whether there's anything obvious going on. But when I plug it in, I found a remote that will switch it from standby to on. So I'm guessing, although I do not know, that the power supply board is good, and that it's either the drivers for the liquid crystal display or for the LEDs.
Yeah.
But it's too big for me to use. We'd have to get up and walk from one end of the room to see the whole TV.
It's too big for me. It would be bigger than my wall.
So if nobody takes it in a reasonable amount of time, I'm just going to scrap it and use the Fresnel lens and the plastic out of it. That's a real shame because it looks like a nice TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if it doesn't power up properly, it's probably power supply. If the backlight doesn't work right, it's probably power supply. And generally speaking, power supplies for a TV that size are going to be about $60.
He had that one of the emails I sent to the group, there was a list of parts and what they cost.
Yeah.
The TV is about a $500 TV, and
For a 75-inch TV?
yeah,
70.
Damn.
70-inch
70?
TV.
Damn.
Some of the parts were very, very reasonable, and a couple of them were approaching that is it worth fixing deal. But a lot of the parts look like they're like right around 20 or 30 bucks.
Yeah.
And then you've got the main board, and if that's the problem, that's $160.
Well, there was an ad on Jemmy's Place, I think that's called, what it's called, where you could get 4 boards, the Wi-Fi, and I didn't figure that was too much of anything, and the LEDs, the controller for the screen, and then the main board for $119 for all 4 of them.
See, that's not horrible if that's what one of the problems is.
Yeah.
For a $500 set.
Well, there's nothing else in there. I mean, if you don't fix it with that, then there's really nothing else that's going on.
Yeah. But I can't take it. It would be we've got 3 TVs now, and I haven't turned one of these TVs on in over a year.
Yeah.
So
We don't watch that much TV.
yeah.
2 hours a night, probably just as a wind down before going to bed.
Yeah. Well, that's about what we do. I set the turn the TV on, set the timer for 2 hours, and have it turn itself off. So
Well, we record the evening news with a recast box or pull it off of the internet. And so we yell at the news for a while. And then if there's something, a series or something that we're watching, we'll catch that.
yeah, TV has gotten to the point that I just don't care about it. But you know, if you were a gamer or had or had a flight sim that you needed on a really big screen. Hint, hint, hint. Vicente, hint, hint, hint. Vicente, like, no. Vicente probably doesn't need any more projects either. Have you seen how many projects he's got going on?
This is theory. I can't confirm it, but the theory is I can't die until I finish my projects. And at the current rate, I'm going to live forever.
Forever. Yep. So anyway, if anybody wants a 70-inch TV,
4K smart TV.
there you are. It's a Roku. It's a Roku. "4K smart TV." But
How come nobody ever gets rid of those with the remote?
I'm sorry.
How come nobody ever gets rid of those with the remote?
you know,
I don't know.
this is another we talk remotes. This Roku TV remote operates both TVs.
Mhm.
And they're two, this one is an OEN, and I think the one in the living room is a Sharp. That's because they're all pretty much made by the same company now.
Well, I gathered we have a little storage drawer under our computer in the living room, and we keep music on that machine and photographs. And I just, every time I pick up a remote out of the trash, I just pitch it in there. So I gathered up like 8 remotes the other day and went out into the garage with them and tried every one of them until I found one that would switch it from standby. But it didn't seem like it was the correct remote.
Yeah. Probably if you found a Roku remote, it probably would work just as well too. I think it's another one of those deals where Roku has issued a standard for remotes because they sell remotes with different keys to launch different apps.
Yeah, I have one with Netflix keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one came with Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and Vudu. And the other one, I don't remember what it had. It's different though. But the basic function, the on off, the everything else, it's all the same. It's all the same for both TV sets. And I don't have any of these apps. I have Vudu. That's the only app I've got installed on my TV. And I don't even use the button for it. And that's the TV that I haven't turned on in over a year.
Well, we went on vacation last fall, and it is nice to look at vacation photos in 4K.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm cheap. I think this TV cost me around $100. It's only a 32-inch. But since I don't really watch TV, it's fine.
Not so bad. I see.
You got anything going on, Vicente?
I'm reviewing projects, trying to make them work again, losing a lot of time. I still continue with the sound system. I bought more stuff, make more beacons.
Well, we're glad you're keeping the economy running.
Uh, uh, I tried getting that big robot to work again, and I can't get it to go. So I'm going to go way back to basics and just try to get the motors to spin without all the extra code that does the Aruku tags and all that stuff. I'm just going to try, but I'm starting to wonder if this battery that's on it, even though it says it's charged, it has failed, is not fully up to what it should be.
Is it any kind of a standard battery, Leroy?
He put, I think this one, it's using lipos. The other one was using, I don't know what it was using, but it absolutely refuses to take a charge. And its battery is heavy, but I think this one's using lipos.
So how long should lipos last? How many charges and discharge cycles or whatever?
I am not sure.
Lithium polymer, it's supposed to be somewhere between 800 and 1,000 if you don't take it above 80 or below 20%. And your phone, when it says it's 100%, is really at 80.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff, cheaper stuff, 100% is 100%. Some of it's 105.
Sounds like Russian elections.
It's beginning to get like U.S. elections.
The I don't know. When I try to power this robot up, if I power it up with a USB cable, if I power the microcontroller up with a USB cable, it powers up just fine. If I try to power it up with under battery power, it sits there, the light, the LED kind of goes and fades and does all kinds of weird funky stuff, like it's just not getting enough power.
So basically it's working at 5 volts.
Yes.
And some unknown current. Well, the battery is certainly suspect.
It had been sitting for over a year, so I was actually kind of surprised that it took a charge in the first place. And I'm not so sure that the regular, I think it was 36 volt battery. And I dropped it down to 5 volt to power the three microcontrollers that are on it. But I'm not so sure that the regulator is actually doing what the regulator is supposed to be doing. Cause that's I'm kind of suspecting the regulator, cause it keeps telling me that it's it looks like 52 volts, and then sometimes it looks like 25 volts, and then other times it looks like something else. And I'm like, none of that looks right. And if I put the regulator into the holder that I printed for it the correct way that I printed it, that should be with the everything up, but everything looks like it's backwards. So if I flip it over and I look at it from the upside down point, then it looks like it's 52 volts, which I know is nowhere close to what that battery is. That battery was, I'm pretty sure it was a 36 volt battery. So
Can you just put a voltmeter on it and check it out?
I think I did. And I think I decided that the battery was giving me the correct thing. So I think I need to replace or try a different regulator and see what that does. I don't know. There's something there's definitely something strange going on with it. Of course, I didn't do a current test. That might be a good thing to do. But I don't know. There's something weird going on with it. That's what I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to do to it. I couldn't figure out why I eventually found all my notes on it, but I couldn't figure out why I put MOSFETs into it. And it turns out I'm using the MOSFETs as the switches. So I guess that made sense. I guess whatever I was thinking made sense.
At the time.
At the time.
At the time.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a number of weird little things that I'm sitting there going, why did I do this?
I do that every day.
I was in school with a guy who could come in and tell the most outrageous lies. He said, I know he's lying. That can't possibly be true. But he had a way of presenting it where you said, but he had gone to work in a pharmaceutical manufacturing company. And he was out on the manufacturing floor and came back in to the cafeteria. And there's two guys that worked in IT, said, hey, you still got your hairnet on. He goes, oh, I'm just trying to get used to the new rules. I said, what new rules? He said, no, just forget it. I shouldn't have said anything. And so they badger him and he said, look, I don't understand it, but they were having problems in quality control. And everybody on site is going to have to go to a hairnet. And these two guys said, that's crazy. And so they went back and got the torches and pitchforks and stormed the castle. And eventually the plant manager called the guy in and said, did you start this rumor that we're going to have plant-wide hairnets? He said, well, in retrospect, it probably wasn't a good idea. So, Leroy, in retrospect, maybe some of the things weren't such a good idea.
Some of the stuff I do that quite a bit. You know, I go back and I look at old robots or old code, and I go, "Why did I do that? Why did that actually work?"
That's the reason you comment everything, Leroy.
Well, like I said, I eventually found my notes. I know why I did it, or I know why I wrote it down. But yeah.
Do you guys remember about 10 years ago, there was a book by Cliff Houck, I believe it was called The Cuckoo's Egg?
I remember the title. I don't remember what it was about.
It was an astronomer who had lost his grant, and he went to work temporarily for an IT department. And they said, here's a project. This is billing for internet time. And the two reports are 2 cents off. And he thought, well, it's going to be rounding error. And he dug into it and realized that this system had been cobbled together from like 4 or 5 different programs, and nobody had commented anything. And as he's going through, he finally figures out how and what all these parts do. And it's not a rounding error. He has determined that someone has hacked the MILNet and is into Stanford's computer looking around. And then they go up and cover up their time. But because this is such a convoluted, cobbled together system, they didn't get all of the traces. And he eventually traces the hacker down to an East German.
Surprise, surprise.
When they finally track down the guy and go to his house, he's dead. He has been shot. But when I was working, one of the guys says, I don't want that guy on my trail. He was looking at the time lapse and drawing a circle on the globe from where he was with the return times, thinking it's got to be on this circle someplace on the planet. But
so this was fiction or this was real?
No, this is real. Yeah. Cliff Halke, I believe is the guy's name, the Cuckoo's Nest. And the German hacker had gone through, I don't know, 4 or 5 different machines, logging in, logging out to cover his path.
Mm.
Years ago, there was a TV show. I cannot remember what it was, but it was produced by Isaac Asimov. And it had Parker Stevenson as the computer genius. And I think it was the first episode. He's walking down the street with some female, I don't remember her name. And he's going over his water bill and realizes that it's off by a nickel. And somebody must be putting all of those nickels into their account somewhere. It's actually a really good series. It ran 2 years, I think. Wish that one was still available.
Well,
there was a program where the hackers are in there and they say, we're going to take all these fractional portions of a penny and put them in an account. That way nobody will notice it. And so they come back in the next day and they look at their account and they're expecting like $2. There's $60,000 in there. They're not going to notice this.
Well, that was the basic theme behind Office Space. For anything.
Yes, that's it. That was it exactly.
Office Space. Basically, they figured out some way or another to skim that rounding error, and that was a funny movie.
Yeah, I can appreciate the comment when they look in there and don't find just a few bucks. They find something that people are going to track down. They're going to want back.
So it ran 8 episodes. It was called Probe. It debuted March 7th of 88. I'm looking for the cast. created by Isaac Asimov and Michael Wagner, starring Parker Stevenson and Ashley Crow.
Hmm.
Well, that would have been one of Asimov's last efforts because he died
Yep.
in 92.
Yeah. And apparently it's available on Apple TV.
Oh, okay.
The name of the show?
Probe.
Locked room mysteries in a nuclear reactor, or homicides committed with holograms. Actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely ahead of its time.
Wasn't it? It isn't on YouTube now.
It could be. Let's find out.
Hmm.
And yes, it is.
You got a link?
Hang on. Oh, I'm hearing it.
Yes, got a playlist. That's hilarious.
There you go. Yeah, it looks like all 8
Oh, weird.
episodes.
I have a different URL than that.
There's a couple of different playlists for it. There's like three different playlists for it.
Now that came up as a comment on my screen, but I'm not certain how to capture that.
It's in chat, isn't it?
Yeah, if you go to chat,
You can click on it and then you can save it as a bookmark.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I see it now.
yeah, there's at least 3 different playlists with it.
Probably none of which are legal from a copyright point of view.
It may be
Copyright
one.
shopping.
It may be one of those abandoned things that nobody cares about anymore. Of course, if Apple's got their mitts on it, then Apple probably cares about it. So watch it now.
I got to see if I can download it.
Yeah.
Usually I can.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like all 8 episodes plus an intro. I guess that would just be the opening theme song. Plus it looks like there's been comments and commentary about it. So I just searched when I went to YouTube and searched pro TV series. And that was the first thing that came up.
Yeah, I did Probe Parker Stevenson, I think.
Oh, I hear it. Oh, I hear it.
Yep, that was me.
The other thing that you can do, eventually I put all these chats, I put all the links into the web forum that we created a while ago that nobody really uses except me. But here's a link to the forum if anybody.
I think I've got that saved under my favorites. But for all the work you would do, I don't use it.
No, but nobody really uses it.
Yeah.
I try to preserve some of this stuff, and nobody's using it.
So
I'm shaking my fist at the cloud.
I'm using YouTube or YT-DLP, and it's downloading in about 2 minutes per episode.
Cool. Are you
Yeah.
getting
All of them.
720?
Oh, I
or
don't know.
480?
Whatever size they are.
480 probably.
It will get the highest resolution that is in the list.
Yeah. Well, this playlist says it was created 9 years ago, so nobody cares about it apparently.
Yeah, YTDL definitely works better on older videos.
Yeah.
Or YT-DLP.
I may have mentioned that a friend of mine was electrical engineer, worked in Bolivia. And he came to the States and visited us, and he said, we get first run movies on DVD before they come out in the States. And we brought some of them with us. Would you like one? And so we looked through there, and there's Captain Phillips. I said, we hadn't seen that. Thank you very much. And so a couple of weeks later, we decide we're going to watch that. When the Somali pirates come on the ship and they are speaking to each other, I don't know what language they are speaking, but I know I don't understand it. So we said, we'll go back and put on closed captioning. So we went back and reset the closed captioning so we could catch what the Somalis were saying. And we could have a choice between Chinese and Spanish. So we still don't know what the Somali pirates were saying.
This is the one where Tom Hanks was the captain?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't remember much about the movie, but I do remember the closed captioning didn't help us a bit.
Well, if you speak Spanish, it would be fine. Of course, if you speak
Well,
Chinese, I suppose.
it was closed captioning, so we would have to have been able to read it.
Maybe it's
Ah.
Swahili.
Yeah.
It sounds like Spanish and Chinese between African Swahili.
Well, it would have been translated from whatever language they were speaking into either Chinese, a dialect of Chinese, or Spanish. And I'm just not, I am like 2 days behind when I read a foreign language. It takes me that long to read, process it, try to process it, back up the TV and read it again and get the general idea.
Did I show you guys this?
Let's see.
M5 stack
Speak.
synth. It's a little MIDI synthesizer.
You talk about it, but you never show it.
Never showed it. I got it hooked up to the stick C.
Are we supposed to be hearing it, Leroy?
You didn't hear it?
I'm a little hard of hearing, but I didn't hear it.
I'm holding it up to the microphone.
I heard a chirp.
Yeah, I did too.
So you're not hearing it.
Nope.
Huh?
Tell them, hang on a second. There's somebody at the door for you.
There's somebody at the door for me. Apparently there's somebody at the door for me.
Does he have a uniform on?
I don't know. Does he have a
No, we would
uniform
have
on?
heard that knock from here.
I guess I'll be back.
That's optimistic. Okay.
And with Thursday and they're sending out a new bill and he wants to make sure with us getting it electronic that we understand because some of the bills going out.
I was at work one time, this was about 30 years ago, and one of the security guards came in with a state trooper. And she says, "This is him right here." And the state trooper walked over and said, "Are you?" and asked about my name. And I said, "Yes." And he whips out a subpoena, said, "You have been served." It's like, wow.
A trooper served you?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was not expecting to be served for anything, let alone to be served by a trooper at work. You know, just a funny aside that goes along with that. It was something that I had been working on as a result of an accident. And I had collected some material and had it secure. And one of the things was an acetylene oxygen cutting torch. And it had been used in a just nasty, dirty, greasy facility. And I couldn't take it out of the box without putting, like shoulder length rubber gloves on. And so that and everything else were subpoenaed. And I ended up going down to a law office and taking this evidence that I had. And I don't know, I shouldn't have done it, but I couldn't resist it. I pick up the box, put it on the table, take the lid off, put the gloves on, and said, "I can take this out and let you all pass it around." The lawyer with her cashmere sweater looked like she was going to jump out of the room.
So had this been used in some kind of international espionage or what?
No, it's been quite some time ago. And basically, these gentlemen were using the burning torch as a blue tip wrench on some 6-inch nuts. And they cut the nut in half and didn't capture it. They let it fall to the bottom of the mill stand, and it fell into a pile of grease and ignited all of the grease and petroleum products that were on the mill stand. And they didn't realize that they were on fire because they had their burning goggles on. So this was an after the fact thing. They could not sue because of worker compensation, but they thought that the people who had been hired to clean this particular mill stand 6 weeks earlier had used a material that caused this grease to be particularly flammable. And it wasn't, this was just poor attention to detail, in my opinion.
Well, Leroy hasn't come back. So what brand of potato chips do you have there?
Say again?
What brand of potato chips do you have there?
Well, Hussman's, of
It's a-
course.
It's an orange slice.
Oh, it's not potato chips.
No,
I thought you were scarfing down potato chips.
no. Julie knows that it's about time for me to eat something, and she takes care of me. So,
Okay.
oh,
Oh,
an arm's back. Well, that's the rest of it.
I'm back. That was fun.
we
Well,
were
you didn't have
confused.
time to prove your innocence, so it probably wasn't a cop.
It was one of those energy scam things that
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
they,
Free.
they try to tell you
Free solar cell.
that they're saving you money and they don't save you money, or I don't. And then he got upset because I told him that I wasn't switching. Because that's what they want you to do. They
Right.
want you to switch.
I always just tell them I'm very happy with CG&E or Duke or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
PG&E, I don't think functions in Ohio.
That's what that was. So
I have trouble reading the Duke Energy bill as it is and knowing who's paying what and what am I getting for all these charges. I figure if I bring in a third party, I'm going to be paying for pine trees in Arkansas or something. I don't know.
yeah. Well, he was trying to tell me that Duke Energy they just send the power, they don't make the power or something. That does
Well,
not
that's
sound right.
essentially true. They're the vendor, but they aren't the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same thing here in California.
I don't like how they go about doing what they're doing. He actually said he was from Duke Energy and he wasn't.
No.
So
Did you ask for ID?
he had a lanyard that said clean something on it. So I knew he wasn't from Duke Energy.
Well,
I don't think Duke Energy would walk around knocking on people's doors.
No,
I think they
they
got
just
better.
turn your lights off, and if
Yeah.
you come out to see who's up on the pole, they go, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, that's it.
Duke Energy uses the H.R. Haldeman test. You know what that is, obviously.
yeah, I remember the plumbers very well.
So, Steve or Leroy, do you remember the HR? he had a little plaque on his wall in the White House. Says, when you got him by the balls, the hearts and minds will follow.
Yeah. I think that got him some free room and board there for a while, if I recall correctly.
Oh, I'm not certain who ended up going where.
Well, the only person that didn't go to prison, I think, was Nixon. Everybody else, I think, did some time.
Well, John Dean didn't. I don't think he didn't.
Oh yeah. John Dean ended up in one of the luxury prisons. I believe it was here in California.
Okay, well, I missed that. Um, Attorney General Mitchell, he was indicted not for his role in Watergate, but for a milk fund bribery.
Yeah. And he kicked the
Gordon
bucket.
Liddy and a couple of Cubans.
Yeah. As I recall, while Dean was in prison, his wife was out running around with some motorcycle gang. She was actually a pretty good looking lady. Well, good looking, I can testify to. Lady, yeah, who knows?
Somewhat more subjective.
Wow.
Those were the good old days. We used to think those were serious crimes compared to today. I mean, that'd be just like a traffic ticket.
Well, when I was in the Army, one of my jobs required me to have a clearance. And I would have to drive over to the reading room and read the materials, leave them there and make notes and whatever. And I like to comment that had I treated those documents as some of our former presidents have, I would not be in Leavenworth, I would be under it.
Yeah. Well, those were the good old days.
Yeah.
Good old Tricky Dick.
Yep.
Well, I wasn't around for that presidency.
Well, I was around for a few before that.
I'm
Well,
working.
I don't recall, but I was around for Truman.
Oh, I was around for FDR.
Were you now?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't very old, but I was. Well, the thing about being around for FDR is that is a long stretch there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I was born when FDR was still alive, and then uh, I remember Truman. You know, as a kid, you remember things that your parents talked about.
Yes.
So it's difficult to say whether or not you actually remember the actual facts or you remember hearing about the actual facts. So I don't know that I necessarily ever heard in person give them hell Harry, but I certainly remember Eisenhower.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know nothing. I'm just here.
I remember the day that Kennedy got shot.
I was
Really?
giving a speech in a civics class, and the intercom came on in the high school. The president has been shot. And by the time the announcement was over, the class had people weeping and had their heads down and crying. Some people just got up and left. And I turned to the instructor and I said, "What do you want me to do?" And he said, "Finish your speech." So I did. But I'm pretty certain not a single person in that room had any idea what the speech was about, including me.
Well, there's certain black swan events that you remember from your life. Some of them are personal and some of them were the day that my oldest daughter called up and said, "Turn on the TV. They've just flown a plane into one of the towers in New York."
I can remember that day like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I by the time we got the TV on, the second plane was lining up on the second tower.
Your timing of your daughter calling was exactly the timing of my daughter calling me. A friend of mine was in Sweden at the time, and he was walking down the street, and he said that a woman came out of her house and said, "You're an American, you need to come in here and see this." And what puzzled him was how she knew he was an American. He said, "Yep, not wearing cowboy boots or a cowboy hat." Apparently, there's just something about us Americans that stick out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I remember Kennedy's assassination, even though that happened 7 years before I was born.
Well, that's the situation, you hear your parents and friends and talking about things
Well,
happened before.
he was assassinated on my birthday, 7 years prior, but he was assassinated on my birthday. So I am very well aware of
Okay.
Kennedy's assassination. I heard about it a lot because it was my birthday. So, but yeah, I remember 9/11. That, I remember waking up.
That was surreal.
Yeah.
It was hard to believe that wasn't some kind of a War of the Worlds kind of H.G. Wells kind of thing.
What I remember is how quiet everything was around us.
Well, I remember the no planes in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, all the planes are grounded, so any planes that were going over were military planes, period.
The entire city was quiet. You could hear stuff happening miles away that you don't usually hear. And there was one plane, and I remember the guy must not have had any clue what was going on. It was a little Cessna, and he was landing there at the airport. And you could hear all these cops going to the airport because I had the scanner on. They were all heading to the airport to see what this guy was up to. It was surreal. It was a thing.
I was working at a company in Newtown called UV Technology, and I had a little 4-inch black and white tube TV. It was the only TV in the building. And my boss, guy named Joe, came in, "You've got a TV, turn it on." And within 2 or 3 minutes, everybody in the company was in my office on
Huddled.
milk crates and seats, watching this little tiny TV about 10 feet away. And half of us were just like, this can't be real. And half of us were crying.
Yeah. Remember, Patty was at work. She called us. She said everybody was just stopped. Nobody was doing anything. It would, yep. I remember how quiet it was. That's the biggest thing I remember is how quiet it was.
A stupid thing I've always been curious about is if the Wingdings font was tied to that whole thing. The 911 shows up as an airplane and 2 skyscrapers. And it was that beforehand as well. So just an oddity that I've always wondered about.
I had the opportunity, well, after that, to talk to the gentleman that had been Assistant Secretary of Labor for OSHA. Dr. Koch talked about him having been there in New York when they were doing the fireproofing. And they got about 2/3 of the way up one building and decided to stop spraying on asbestos, and got about 1/3 of the way up the next building and stopped that. And he was of the opinion that what they continued spraying was a poorer quality fire protection agent that did not sort of have the adhesion to stick to the steel. So when the impacts occurred, the raw structural steel was not only involved in the fire of the jet fuel, but it had no insulation around it.
Well, this meeting turned somber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, anybody know any good gallows humor?
Oh, Mrs. Lincoln, other than that, how'd you like the play?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a strange times. And the world turned over. I mean, the whole airline industry just, you know, in the old days, I remember you went to old days prior to 2001. If you want see somebody off at the airport, you got there, you parked, you accompanied them all the way to
The ramp.
to the ramp. And I can't even imagine.
I got a ticket on American Airlines, but I'm going to present it to JetBlue. It's just like money, and I don't have to do anything other than say, "Here's my ticket," and okay, we'll take it. Get on. It's like
security was, oh yeah, you got stuff in your pocket. Come on. Okay, you can't take that, but come on.
I don't remember any restrictions on carry-ons, including, they didn't even screen for any kind of a weapon. Basically just,
Think.
When I was stationed at Fort Benning, New Hampshire, there was a 911 Baden-Baden in Germany. A friend of mine was in EOD, and he gave me about a half pound of C4, just as a thing you might want to play with. And I flew back from Germany with that in carry-on luggage in 1987, 6. Didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, I think I have not flown in years, but I think the last time, I know it was before 9/11, and I think the only restriction was you could have a pocket knife, but it had to be short.
Yeah, like 4 inches or shorter.
Something like that. Yeah, it was a short pocket knife. Anything bigger they would take, and I guess you put it in your luggage or something and had it sent
Mhm.
that way.
I did a job for DOD at up in Fairbanks, Alaska, Fort Wainwright. And I was carrying, and this was shortly after 9/11. So I had all this equipment as checked luggage, goes in the hull of the plane, and I had a Sawzall and blades,
Yeah.
razor blades. I fly up to Wainwright or to Fairbanks, and no problem. I had to show my driver's license to get on post. There's 4 feet of snow. This was Valentine's Day weekend or Valentine's Day week. I finish up the job, heading back home, and go to get on the plane. And I can't find my driver's license. I'm like, damn, it's somewhere in the snow in Fort Wainwright. This is going to be rough. So I go up. I'm like, okay, I can't stay here. I've got to get back home. What do I do? And they start going through this 900-page book of what to do in what situation. And the answer was on page about 850. And it was basically that I had to sign that I wouldn't do anything bad. By this time, they've spent so much time looking through all the rules and stuff to see what to do with me that I had missed my chance to check my luggage. So I'm standing there with 2 duffel bags and a carry-on backpack. And they're like, okay, let's just get you on the plane as quick as possible. So I've got chemicals and razor blades and box knives and stuff. And they just hustle me out to the plane, and
That's because you promised not to do anything bad.
promise not to do bad things. Yeah, that was, I'm pretty sure that was the last. No, I've flown since then. I flew in 2017 or 18 for his 18th birthday. My son wanted to go to Denver. I'm like, gosh, son, why? So yeah, we flew out to Denver.
Well, I have had the occasion the last 25 years or so to work with an attorney, and he never waits until, doesn't do pre-planning. So like it would be typical, the phone rings and said, okay, I need you in Houston tomorrow morning at 9. And I don't know how long you're going to be there. So I would end up with a one-way last minute purchase ticket.
Ooh.
And the boarding pass, I have found out, comes out SSSS, which is shorthand for I love the snap of latex in the morning. And I had my briefcase and they swabbed it and ran it through for explosives. And it had been down in the coal chemical section of the Coke plant. And it tripped the alarm. And those guys got real excited.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Does this work? What is it? I don't know. It's been in there forever. I don't remember the last time I used a little cassette recorder. It may work.
Yeah, I failed a swab once. Mine was gunpowder. I had been to a range 2 days before. Had my backpack with me. It was covered with dust.
Well, I have no idea chemically what this was that they swabbed off of the briefcase. Could have been anything.
Probably nitrates is what they look for.
Well, these days they also look for various drug residues too.
Well, if they're going to look on the money, they're going to find it everywhere.
Yeah.
I got a good joke for you. Actually, I've got a bad joke for you.
Okay, well, we'll tolerate a bad one.
If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
I know.
Pilgrims.
Yeah.
Pilgrims. It's a bad joke.
Yes, it is.
It's a bad joke.
It was
This
really
sounds-
good in third grade.
That was a lighten the mood joke.
That sounds like something your granddaughter might have
Yep.
brought home.
My we were doing so I had a puzzle for I've got three coins that add up to what was it 35 cents, and one of them is not a
dime.
nickel or a dime. Yeah, no, I think it was a nickel. So you've got a quarter and 2 nickels. That's 35 cents. The quarter is not a nickel. That was a Theo Rose puzzle for me.
Yeah.
She brought that one to me. She said, "Papple, I got a puzzle. I got 3 coins and they add up to 35 cents and one of them's not a nickel." But the other 2 are a nickel, aren't they? Oh, you know stuff, Papple.
Well, frankly, kids of the age of our grandchildren or great grandchildren probably won't be as familiar with coins as we were when we were kids, because frankly, first of all, I buy very few things that I don't just put on a card.
Yeah.
So it's unusual for me to
actually have money.
well, I have money. My wife generally gives me a couple of $100 anytime we're traveling someplace, and 6 months later, those 20s will still be in my wallet, permanently curved.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, coins are designed to wear out the pockets and pants, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, if you have a pocket full of nickels, all they do is pull your pants off.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So,
I hate nickels. They're too big. They should be smaller than a dime, or a dime should be a nickel and a nickel should be a dime. It just irritates me that the coins are not in size order.
No.
well,
I'm okay that the penny's slightly bigger because it's just copper. There's no silver in it.
yeah, but what about the dollar? The dollar that's about the size of a quarter,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's definitely smaller than a $50.
Yep.
That is nuts. But
Yeah.
like a silver dollar is just over the size of a $50.
I'm guilty of a federal crime on that one. I went up here to Biggs Hypermarkets in Eastgate 15 years ago to buy a book of stamps. And I put in a $5 bill and got a $2 book of stamps, and it spit out 3 Susan B. Anthony's, or the Sacagaweas, the gold ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, huh. I got back more change than I was, or no, it was 2 1/4, and I got back 6
$3.
Sacagaweas
Yeah.
because somebody had put, I was supposed to get back $3.75, and it was they'd put Sacagaweas in the quarter hopper.
Yeah.
And I sat there and emptied that machine and got a pile of stamps and a pile of dollars. Because it read the Sacagaweas as $1. And if you got there was a 50-cent book of stamps, and you'd get, or 47 cents or something like that, but it rounded up to the nearest quarter. So you'd put in $1 and get back 2 and stamps.
I don't remember where I was at. I was at a restaurant maybe. And I kept telling the cashier, "You're giving me too much money. You're giving me too much money," because she was handing me the silver,
Susan B. Anthony's.
the silver quarters, or the silver dollars.
Yeah, Susan B. Anthony's.
Yeah, and I'm like, I gave you like, $5 for the food, and you gave me back like $7 in Susan B. Anthony's. Oh no, those are quarters. Those are quarters. Get out of here. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I get free food. I make some money from you. All right. It's a little after 7. We are virtual again next week. And then in April 4th and 11th, we're going to be in person. So
Okay.
that's the next whatever's going on. So
Sounds good.
Okay.
I will
Well,
see
ask all
everybody
your
next
friends
week.
and all your neighbors and people driving down the street if they need a 70-inch 4K TV. Carcass.
I may
Put a big
pick you up
sign
on
up.
that. I got to find that email Leroy sent out and see what a power supply is going to run.
It says element and the model number.
Okay.
So, and it came from Automation Technology Club. So everybody should have gotten it, but we will,
Yeah.
we'll see everybody next week.
Sounds good.
Take care.
All right.
I can bring the TV to meet up.
Do what?
I can bring the TV to meet up.
Oh,
Okay, I'll throw up
okay.
in the parking lot. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night, gentlemen.